Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another very special Out of the Fast Lane, partnered you with DirtJackDigest.com. On today's show, we have Big Block Modified Series driver Kyle Coffey. I'm sure you guys have all heard about his dad, Vic, and he's coming up through the rank himself, which is very cool to have him on the show and all that tonight. So awesome to have him on. Today we're doing things a little different. It's going to be on a Zoom, so it's going to be a little different tonight, which is alright. So, yeah, we're going to get him on just in a quick second. Zoom call's all set. I just got to find my right papers. Okay, I apologize. There we go. So this weekend, Kyle got to experience Fonda Speedway. So did I. I was down there this weekend. There's a couple of interviews up there. It was Kyle's first time down there up here at Fonda Speedway, and he enjoyed it a lot. I'll be asking him about that a little bit. Last night, the Short Track Super, or not last night, 2 nights ago, the Short Track Super Series raced at Big Diamond Speedway, and I'm sure most of y'all have heard that NASCAR driver Stuart Friesen barrel rolled a couple times up there. He was okay, just the car was not. But yeah, it was a wild wreck. That video is up to 700 views on YouTube, so I thank you guys for that. There is a little follow-up video after this I will be showing, and we're going to get Kyle on now. And, okay. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
For people that may not know you in the racing and all that stuff, could you give us a little background about yourself?
Well, my name is Kyle Coffey. I was born and raised in Leicester, New York, with my father, Vic Coffey, driver of the 32 Sweeteners Plus car. I drive the number 23 Sweeteners Plus car, big Nell chassis, CC racing engines. And I grew up racing 600 micro sprints from the age of 13 to about 18 at our local track, Lime Rock Speedway in Leroy, New York. And I pretty much spent my entire life in and out of the racing world, going all around with my father between the tracks in New York and Pennsylvania and making the trips down to North Carolina and Florida for all the nationals and all that stuff like that. But, racing's pretty much been part of my life since I was just a kid. So, I'm fortunate enough to make it part of my life now as an adult.
Mm-hmm. So, is your dad still racing?
No, my dad's not racing. He's kind of stepped away from it more, turned into more of a car owner in the last, probably 3 or 4 seasons when I started driving the modifieds. And, from what he tells people, he really enjoys it now. And I'm sure he misses driving. He says every once in a while he gets the itch to get back in a car, but he says he enjoys it more, just tuning on it and, making me a better driver.
Mm-hmm. So you got to experience Fonda Speedway for the first time last Sunday. How was that for you, getting to experience that racetrack for the first time?
Yeah, Fonda's a cool place. I've been there a couple of times to watch races and help out with my dad and help out when Timmy was racing one of our cars there. And, as a driver, first time experience, it was definitely a learning experience for sure. And, I didn't expect to, set the world on fire when we unloaded the car. I just wanted to, make laps and get used to the track for when we go back there for later events. But it was definitely a challenging evening. We didn't start off all that fast. We were kind of mid-group, and then in the heat race, we missed a qualifying spot by 1, and we got through the B main, finished second in that, and then I kind of just rode around the back of the pack most of the night during the feature. But I got to find out where the grooves were, move around the racetrack with a new surface on it. You never know what to expect. And Brett Dale's done a really nice job with that. The track was very smooth and seemed like you could race all over it, and the grip was very nice.
So during the pandemic, we all were pretty much stuck at home. What were you doing as a race car driver to be ready when that call was, okay, we're opening the tracks back up?
Just keep myself in shape, physically and mentally. It's you kind of get weird, sitting here wondering when you're going to go or if we're ever going to get to go, and what tracks are going to open, what tracks are staying closed, what's going to be close, what's going to be far drive, and most of the time it was just wrenching on the cars and making sure everything was 100% ready to go, and fortunate enough, we've been able to unload and be pretty fast on our weekly tracks here at Outlaw and Canandaigua on Fridays and Saturdays. So, it's just a lot of preparation during this off time. It's kind of it wasn't the worst thing, having everything ready to go, but we sure wanted to be racing a couple months ago for sure.
So, at what age for you did your racing career start, and how did it start?
I believe I was 13 or 14 years old, and I wanted to start a lot before that with go-karts and stuff, but it was during the time when my dad was racing with the World of Outlaw late models, and there wasn't a whole lot of time to spend, going to these smaller tracks around our area with me to turn me into a driver. So I got involved with our sponsor, our Sweeters Plus sponsor. Luckily they're a family sponsor, so they were all aboard for it 100%. And it kind of just fell into place. I went up to them and said, "What do you think about me getting into a race car?" And they said, "Well, what do you have in mind?" I said, "The 600 micro sprints would be a good place to start." And from there it was just a couple of phone calls here and there, and about a month and a half or two later, we had a car ready, and we started going to practice nights at Paradise Speedway in Geneva, and we raced there for about a year and a half before we really started venturing around New York with the touring series, and that's when we got pretty good at it. So elevated into the modifieds.
So where do you race weekly now as a driver, and how do you like that, and what's that track mean to you so much?
Weekly we we race at the Outlaw Speedway in Dundee on Friday nights, and then we run at the Land of Legends Raceway in Canandaigua on Saturday. And Dundee is a very fun racetrack. It's a small, tight little bull ring. There's a little bit of room to race. It's 2-3 grooves wide, but the top's usually pretty fast around there. But when the bottom's hooked up right, you can cruise around there pretty good. And it's a really fun place to race at. I love going there. Tyler Seary has done a great job with the facility in the last couple of years, tuning it up and making it what it is today. And Saturday at Canandaigua, it's a place that I grew up at going to every weekend. It's a place that I love to go at, and it's to roll out there in a modified my first time 4 or 5 years ago was a dream come true to me. And it's that place it can be difficult, but once you get really good at there, it's a lot of fun to race at. The surface the last couple of years has been kind of back and forth with new track management, but it seems like they're starting to get a hold on it. They've been really trying to do their best, and it's making for some really good racing weekly, and you can race all over it. There's multiple grooves. It's you kind of get a little bit of everything with this track surface. It's dry slick some spots, tacky fast some spots, and it's it can throw you a curveball every once in a while. But I love to go there. I wouldn't trade any place in the world to go to Canandaigua.
So you just brought me into my next topic. Yeah, you said your first time rolling off with a modified. What was going through your mind coming off a Ford to the green flag during hot laps, being at your first time at a modified? What was going through your mind, if you could process and remember that?
First thing that was going through my mind is, can I handle going into the first corner? I've been to quite a number of bigger tracks with the micro sprint, but nothing with that kind of horsepower or different control. And it was definitely a little butterflies in the stomach, but I just kind of settled in. Made sure I stayed smooth and held my line on the bottom. I'm sure I wasn't the fastest guy for a little while, but it was definitely something different. Going down a half-mile racetrack instead of eighth-mile racetrack in a little wing sprint car. That's for sure.
What is your favorite track to race at, and why?
I'd say after the last 4 years, I'd say in my whole racing career, Brewerton's been one of my favorite tracks to race at. We went there about 5 times with the micro sprint, and I think we averaged a finish of second or third there. We pretty much ran in front every time we were there. I won there once with a micro sprint, and that's through my whole racing career. But I'd say recently, in the last 4 or 5 years with the modifieds, I love going to Eldora. That's a track that's it's a lot of fun. It's wide. It's fun to run up against the wall, and it just makes some really good racing there.
What is your origin behind your number? Why did you choose the number 23?
Well, I spent a lot of time thinking about that, and I was just sitting around the shop one day helping my dad out, and his number was 32, and I was like, well, I'll just flip it. That's kind of like our whole family. They grew up racing micro sprints, and a lot of their numbers were based on them flipping each other's numbers. or in the same general vicinity, like that kind of number range. You know, we've all been pretty close with that 20 to 30 number range, and I just figured, I'll just flip it and make it easy for myself.
What did you? So you said you get to experience Eldora in your career. What's that like for you at a facility as big as Eldora, knowing that almost all the best dirt racers, including yourself, have gotten the chance to race there, and that track being it's so like prestige and everybody loves it. What's it goes through your mind when you race there?
It's just that's one of them places. It's breathtaking when you roll up and you see the big box over turns 3 and 4, and when you get into the pit area and you go take a look from the backstretch and you see the grandstands wrap around the whole front straightaway. It's like almost it looks kind of like a mini Syracuse with the way their grandstands are set up on the front stretch, and then that big tower that they got, and the facility itself, the grounds are beautiful, and you walk it, you pull in through the big camping area, and it was always fun when we went there because it was during the NASCAR truck race.
Yeah.
So we always had a good crowd to perform in front of, and it was a lot of fun. It's one of them places that the atmosphere is so good that you just want to keep going back.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel like when racing just came back during this pandemic, when you got to race again with no fans in the stands? How was that for you as a driver?
It was definitely weird. It's something you get used to from a young age, going to a racetrack and being around hundreds of thousands of people all the time, and rolling into Outlaw on Friday night for the first week. It was just, it felt the same, but it was a little eerie. You roll out on the track from the backstretch, and you come off of turn 4, and you just look at an empty grandstands, and it kind of feels like a practice night almost. Mm-hmm. But it was a little different, but I think a lot of guys have gotten used to it by now, and I know we've gotten used to it. We just kind of go everything day by day with our operations. Nothing changes for us. It's just disappointing that you can't see all the fans that you normally get to see on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm. How many wins do you have to date?
With the modified, we have one win that we got last year at Dundee in the middle of the season around August, and with the micro sprints, I think I collected between like 10 and 15 wins through like a 5 or 6 year gap in them.
Did you get to experience any of the iRacing when the pandemic hit and everybody was like jumping to that? Did you get to race any of did you get to try it or even watch it a little bit?
I watched a couple of the sprint car and the late model events. I ended up getting the system for it. Nothing crazy. Just a steering wheel and pedals for a computer setup, and I made a lot of practice laps. Just to kind of keep myself busy here and there. And I never did any like sanctioned races with the Dirt Series or the World of Outlaws or nothing. I just kind of went on there just to kill some time. Keep my mind from wondering when I get to go racing again. I could just hop on there and feel like I'm in a car again.
What was your favorite part about that?
Knowing that when I hit the wall, I could just click the reset button and not have to get the car the next day.
For me personally, I think the experience, the fact that like there's a chance for me, because I'm just like a media person now with racing. But for me, to end up in like a lobby with Stuart Friesen or you or even like Kyle Busch or something like that, just getting that experience of racing as somebody that you would never ever think about even getting the chance to race. That's personally what I think is cool for me as a racer in that.
Definitely, I think one of the cooler things about that it makes an equal platform for everybody. Especially I've seen with a lot of these races, they have fixed setups, so a lot of guys you roll out and everybody's on the same setup, so nobody has an upper edge on anything. It's kind of just like whoever plays it the most and who's gotten the best at it, they're going to be the front runners. But it's definitely cool to be able to run against guys from all different racing divisions. Between NASCAR and the World of Outlaws, Lucas Oil, NHRA. Anybody. You don't even have to be a racer, like you said. You could be a media person, you could be a fan, you could be somebody that isn't really a fan of racing at all, just wants to try it out and ends up getting good at it. But that's definitely one of the cooler things about it.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple of fans down at Founded this past week, and they said that when they got into a race, they got into like a street stock race at Charlotte, and they ended up racing with Rico Abreu, which they said that's probably one of the coolest things they could ever do, is to race against somebody like that. So I see where you're coming from. What goes through your mind when you're potentially gonna crash, and when you're gonna crash, you're spin out in front of the field, what goes through your mind?
Well, I've been in that situation a couple of times. You know, at Canandaigua, I've started on the front, first, second, third row, whatever it is, and going into turn one, just got a little too hot, and car gets pitched sideways, and you just try and get back with the gas, and it just you end up looking at a field of 24 cars coming at you, and the first thing that goes through my mind is I just hope somebody doesn't hit me, because that's. I don't feel bad for me at that point. I feel bad for whoever runs into me, because there's nowhere to go. It was my fault to spin out, and I would just feel bad at that point for having two junk race cars, and instead of telling yourself to keep it cool, you can't win the race on the first lap. But it's never a good feeling when you feel the car kind of cock around on you, and it's just sometimes it's gut wrenching. And I've been in that situation before where I have gotten turned around and guys have run into me, and there's been pile-ups, and it hasn't happened a whole lot. Probably once or twice I've been in one of those deals, but I also been on the other end of deals like that, where guys have spun out in front of you and you just got no place to go. And when you're in the other situation, when you're the seat coming at the guy, it's it's frustrating at that point, because you're thinking, what's this guy doing in front of you? You never want to be that guy.
Yeah. Have you gotten the chance to are you a part of like the Dirt Car Series or the Short Track Super Series?
I guess we're registered into both the series right now. We went down to Florida this year. We ran All-Tech with the Short Track Super Series, and we ran Volusia with the Super Dirt Car Series. The last 3 years, we've kind of been doing it as not probably the entire series, but as much as we can do with the Super Dirt Car stuff. And then kind of just back and forth between like the North events here, the Short Track Super Series. We don't do a whole lot of that, but unfortunately this year with how late the season got started, we planned on doing a lot more with that stuff, but I'm sure the later the season goes, we'll probably kick into more of those events.
I was down in, actually, matter of fact, I was down in there in Volusia this past year. I'm surprised I didn't even. Were you in the 23 down there? And how was that for you?
Yeah, it was all right. Volusia's a tough place because it's so fast, and a lot of guys that have been down there have been racing there for years, and it's hard to unload and be as fast as those guys. But we struggled a little bit. Our car wasn't exactly 100% right. We couldn't really figure out stuff till like the end of the week, and we picked up kind of there in the last two events. But Volusia's a fun place. I love racing there. I've had real good races there, coming out of consolation races and during heat races, and even in the features. It seems like in feature time there, we always start off with a really good car for about 15 to 20 laps, and then at the end of the races, we fade. I felt like the last couple of years, I've passed, at least like almost half the field during a feature event, and then they all just end up getting us back because we fade later on in the race. But it's a real fun and tough place to race at.
Have you gotten to like race in Canada at all for you as a driver?
No, I haven't been up to Canada yet. I'd like to make one of those trips here soon with kind of like when they go to Granby and Drummondville and all them places for like a 2 or 3 day event. It's definitely on the bucket list to go up there and have a weekend or so. But no, we haven't been up there yet.
What are some dream tracks for you as a driver? If you haven't gotten to experience, what are some tracks that you want to experience and get the chance to race at?
Well, the one track that's been on my list forever that unfortunately nobody's going to get to go to anymore was the Syracuse Mile. My dad's won there twice, and it was something that growing up as a kid I always wanted to go out there, and I've been there multiple times, and I've got to sit pit side in the grandstands on the backstretch here and there all over the place. And
I've gotten to experience.
That's one of my favorite tracks of all time, just because of the whole experience of Super Dirt Week. Charlotte's one I got to go to too. That's a racetrack that seems really fun to race at, and a lot of the times it's real aggressive racing and get it on the top side, and but those are definitely two. Those are definitely two that have always been on my list forever. And some other tracks that I'd love to go to eventually, but in some other divisions, maybe the Super Dirt Series or Short Track Super Series would get there someday. But like Knoxville would be a fun place to race at. My parents told me stories about that place before, and there's a lot of other ones I'm sure I can't really think of right now. But those are definitely my top 3 places to race at.
If you could race against any driver, past or present, it could be NASCAR, dirt, anything like that, any series that races, who would it be and why?
Man, that's a tough one. I don't know. I guess one person I'd really want to race against would be Bob McCready, just because of how his legacy grew up, and I grew up around Timmy for years, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, I've heard stories about how they pretty much built their cars out of just about anything and anything they could find, and you know, just racing against him on a dirt track and a modified would be awesome. You know, I don't think there's anybody that's done it better than him, and he definitely made a name for himself doing it himself with the people that he had, and you know, he had a great help behind him. But yeah, definitely Barefoot Bob McCready.
Mm-hmm. What would you be doing if you were not racing?
If I wasn't racing, I'd pretty much just be doing my regular, you know, everyday job. Between that and probably some little side gigs here and there, I'm in the construction field, so you know, whatever I could do to make some money.
Mm-hmm. Who do you like to go and see as a driver for like advice at a racetrack? Like if you need help with something at a track, like say Fonda that you've never been to before, who would you go to talk to?
Well, I did at Fonda. You know, I went right up to Matt Shepard. Matt Shepard is usually a guy that I can rely on most of the time. You know, he spent some time driving our cars in the last couple of years, and you know, Matt's always been a great guy. He's always been friends with my dad, and you know, he's always liked me. And you know, anytime like the last 3-4 years racing at Canandaigua, we park next to each other every week, and pretty much everywhere else we go, we try and park next to each other because our programs are so similar. Mm-hmm. And you know, he's got such an in-depth knowledge on these cars, and you know, with him, I feel like you know, he's not going to hide anything from me. I know I've seen what he does with his race cars. I've seen what he's done to our race cars. I know what he does to them, and you know, there's, you know, a lot of people think he does something a little different than everybody else, but I don't see much, and you know, we know what he did with our cars, so I always feel comfortable going up and asking Matt, you know, hey, you know, what's the best line, or you know, what do you think about running this shock, or you know, what kind of gear you think is best for these track conditions, and you know, yada yada, and you know, any questions I got, you know, Matt's always pretty much there for me.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have for you. Any questions for me?
What was it like getting to interview me?
You're pretty. I mean, you seem awesome. So, can't wait to meet you. I wish I would have come and say hello last week. I didn't even think of it. Yeah. Any sponsors or like family you want to give shout-outs? Feel free.
You know, I want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors. You know, Sweeteners Plus, CME, CC Performance Racing Engines, Bicknell Race Cars, FK Rod Ends, Integra Racing Shocks, Podium Suspension, Hoosier Tire, VP Race Fuel. You know, all the guys that help us in and out with the track every week, and you know, obviously a shout out to my family. You know, they're the reason I'm into racing, and you know, I name them all, but you know, they're all supportive of it, and you know, like I said, I wouldn't be here racing modified today if it wasn't for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for being on the show today. I appreciate it. Before we go, what's your weekend schedule for you? Where are you going to be racing?
Weekend schedule will be at Outlaw tomorrow night with our small block car, and then Canandaigua at the Land of Legends Raceway Saturday with our big block program.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you for being on. Hopefully, now we gotta try to get your dad to come on the show. That's our next.
Yeah, I'll talk to him about it. He's not too tech savvy, but you know, you never know. I could set up something like this for him, and he just gotta sit there. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you for being on the show.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Yep. All right. And that was Big Block Modified driver Kyle Coffey. He will be racing, like he said, at Canandaigua this week. There's a couple pictures. Nice picture. Nice 3-wide picture right there at Dirt Track Digest. There's like I said, Dirt Track Digest with us for this ride. This roller coaster that I've been on in the media world now. It's been a lot. If you guys didn't view my videos from the other night, Big Diamond was a couple bad crashes. Tom Princiata and Stuart Friesen both got up and over. Both drivers were okay. Just scary ride if you roll for them. Here's a huge shout out to a driver that I had on last week, Ryan Crotchin. He sent me a little care package, which is it really means the world to me, Ryan. I really appreciate it if you're watching this. He said, Brady, thanks for the great interview. Here's a care package from Ryan, and then he signed it. He sent me two awesome stickers of his. Make sure you guys check those out. If I'll zoom a little bit. There's one. There's two. He sent me this ginormous autograph card. Ginormous. I mean, it's huge. It's huge. Ginormous. And then he sent me this really cool t-shirt of his. There's that. And then here's the back. Which I gotta hold up. And there's the back of it. So Ryan, if you're watching this, thank you very much, man. It means a lot to me. Like I said, you guys don't have to do it, but I really do appreciate it. There will be a follow-up video after this. I have a couple of shout-outs and stuff I had to make and all that. But thank you guys for watching. If you guys are at Fonda Speedway this weekend, please feel free to say hello to me. If you see me, I will be around. It's going to be pretty cool. Awesome night of racing. Infield's open, and they are going to open the grandstands with social distancing, which is going to be awesome to see fans back up in the grandstands at Fonda. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. This is Out of the Fast Lane with Dirt Track Digest, and so any drivers that are watching this, thank you guys. If you guys are ever interested in an interview, feel free. We're gonna get a couple interviews Saturday, so make sure you guys check those out when they come up. We're gonna try to talk to Scott Huber. We're gonna get word with the winner at Fonda, all the winners at Fonda. We're gonna try, and yeah. So thank you guys for watching. It means a lot. Thank you guys for the support, and we will have more to come. Take care.